wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun, and I'm having a hard time holding these alligators.
You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairin' on us, flaring on us. We Ric Flairin' on us. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairin' on us, flaring on us. Check, we Ric Flairin' on us, flaring on us. It's apparent these girls staring. I'm Ric Flairin', gold across my chest. I'm fresh to death. I'm Paul Bearing, not at all scary. When I open like Betty Wops and find to these circles that's going in like a carry shot. Woo! I'm going in like a Mary Pop off that Mary Crop at the top flow at the Marriott. So questioning me is like questioning you. See, we the best dressed, so come and get blessed with the crew. Not one but two, different ways to slaughter your crew. Committed tat across the chest, I guess she blessed with the truth. People want to see them checks, representation of proof. Living through my elders, trying to resonate to the youth. But ain't nothing to get my flash on. Longevity is heavily embedded in my melanin. Layman terms, I last long. My grind repetitive, I'm smoother than real silk. Lyrical cash cow, who can't cry for spilled milk. We in here. You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairin' on us, flaring on us. We Ric Flairin' on us, flaring on us. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairin' on us, flaring on us. We Ric Flairin' on us, flaring on us. This ain't no normal situation, this preparation with greatness. Industry full of fakeness is really up for the taking. See, life is what happened to you, more so how you take it. Don't get stripped of your knowledge and mentally leave you naked. I like to live otherwise. I'm sorry that I'm fresh to death. I put the polo and apologize. See, black son, we ain't nothing like the mother guys. Quit to socialize, we organize, then we mobilize. Off the deep end like a scuba diver. And no confusion, just keep it pushing like Uber drivers. Woo! Business fresh just like a supervisor in a Gucci visor. Can't find a smoother rhymer. You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairin' on us, flaring on us. We Ric Flairin' on us. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairin' on us, flaring on us. We Ric Flairin' on us, flaring on us.
Yeah, DQ baby. Shout out that boy Nigga for that fire track. Hey, Black Sun, sun up. What's up, Vinny Vegas? What in Vegas? Yeah. Shout out Pharaoh's Kids, D-Phase. Yeah. Bubba C. Yeah. Ric Flairin' on them. Ric Flairin' on them. Ric Flairin' on them. Ric Flairin' son up, baby.
Hey, yo, Scotty, you going crazy for this one. We see what you're doing, we salute you. Hey, let's get it started. It's Backpack Capital One. What's in your wallet? Got a call from my man A. Scott. I said I got it. Love that you highlighting all of these black colleges. Try to pay me for doing this. Look, bruh, if you don't get off my line with that foolishness, voice of the swag, pull up where you at. No cap if the Brody is speaking the soft facts. My advice, tune in to every show. Captain Petty, but we know that the sergeants are with the smoke. Speculate, just tell me what is we doing. Get into it, okay, look, I'ma say this and keep it moving. My boy Scotty, man, he off of the leash. Black grad, paying college, I'm glad that he called me. Walking cause we all been taught that talk is cheap. Even primetime knows Scott for the HBCU streets.
What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Scotty. Happy Saturday, August 5th. You already know what it is. Back with another one. And listen, you know it's football season because the shows is coming back to back to back. And I ain't talking about Drake. So make sure you go ahead and like the stream. Listen, just because we married now don't mean the like police ain't too far. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, she did, I ain't gonna lie, she did kind of fall off from her duties. Like, I don't know what it is when people get married. They just don't be doing the same stuff, boy. They tell you this too. They say that. They be like, hey, you know, when married is different. And I ain't really, dang, you came out the woodworks quick. I thought you was upstairs. All I'm saying is it ain't been too many like policing. That's all I'm gonna say. But I gotta move on because, you know, the show. Yeah. No, I'm just saying. Oh, no, you good. You got it. All right. Anyway. So, yeah, get into the days. Listen, quick story time, right? For intro. Listen, so, you know, I'll tell you this. I have been doing really well with patience. Okay. Man, boy. I don't know if you watched Dragon Ball Z with like the instant transmission. Like I could have sworn that girl was upstairs. It's like instant transmission. Like I swear. Anyway, so I am not a very patient person, right? I'm not a really patient person. But I tell you one thing about us black people. If something is free, you be like, hey, I'm just here, right? So listen, so our wedding was July 8th. Right. And like we don't have our pictures yet. Right. So I think somebody in my family was like, oh, have you got your pictures yet? And it was like, nah. I was like, nah, we haven't got our pictures yet. They was like, oh, why haven't you got your pictures yet? Like, what's the deal? What's going on? I said, hey. They were free. Shut up. Okay. Like, I don't give a damn if we don't get them hoes till Christmas. Okay. They were free. So he can take a week per picture. I don't give a damn. They were free. Okay, so I'm happy. Like, listen, he can take as much time as he like. So that happened a couple of days ago. I was like, because if I would have paid, if I would have paid my money, yeah, I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna need that ASAP. But since they was free, $99. What? Okay, sir, take your time. Okay, no rush over here. No rush, right? So I just thought that was funny to share. Anyway, let's get into today's show. Shout out to Mr. Tyrone of Bumpin' Media who did our photography. Absolutely dope dude. He sent us the pictures and stuff like that. So I'm just saying that was just anyway, a couple of days ago. All right. So I want to get started with today's show. You already know what it is. And I want to give a shout out to my man, Kelly Flicks. He always does some dope stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like Kelly be Kellyin'. You know what I'm saying? My man, Kelly Flicks on Twitter. He be doing his thing on the graphics and stuff like that. And he comes up with a lot of stuff. And I saw this on Twitter and I just thought we should talk about it. I definitely thought we should talk about it. So shout out to my man, Kelly Flicks. Make sure y'all go follow him on Twitter, man. Does some big things over there. And it's 4 tiers, right? It's 4 tiers. I'm just showing you the 2 because I had to fit it in the graphic and everything like that. Tier number 1, Richard. I'm not mad at that. Okay, I'm not mad at that. Tier number 2, I haven't seen Kelvin play. So I'm gonna leave that one on a question mark. I don't think Quentin Williams should be in this category. I don't think Quentin should be. He's just too up and down for me, right? He's just too up and down for me, right? But you know, that's just my thing. Because I mean, if you're getting benched in the season, that tells me your team tells you that's telling me your team is telling me that you're too inconsistent. Right? Definitely not, Ronnie. Definitely not. Oh, he should definitely not be there. You my guy though, but he definitely shouldn't be there. So I ain't got a problem with all the other tier 2 guys. Just I think Quentin Williams should not be in that category. Now moving to tier tier 3. Once again, I haven't seen Isaiah Freeman. I don't think Conley, I would sub out Quentin Williams for Connolly. I don't think Conley has thrown the ball enough to be considered in the tier 3. Just if that means Miles too in the same, they both kind of in the same boat. They haven't thrown the ball enough. I think Miles is in tier 3 because of his upside of what we've seen. Now, I don't think Corey Fields should be on this list absolutely at all. I just think you got to tell me, there's got to be, listen, man, there's 22 D1 HBCU'S? You telling me that there ain't 15 other quarterbacks that could do something better? Like, I get he won a championship. I get all that. But I don't think he should be on this list. That's just my personal opinion. Just my personal opinion. So if we're just using the guys that we have, I'm taking Conley. I'm putting him in tier 4. I'm taking Quentin, and I'm moving him to tier 3. Somehow, some way, Corey Fields is not going to make on my tier 4. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, I really like this list, though. Other than that, I really like the list. I think if I can get more from Trayvon, if I can get more from Miles, then, so I think Miles has a higher upside than Conley, so that's why he can stay in tier 3. Just in my personal opinion, the man's freaking 6'5". You know what I'm saying? Like, Jesus freaking Christ. But I think this year Conley has to show that he can lead a team. He can lead his team. Like, he's not a product of the run. It's like quarterback, and he has a run game, not that the running game is propelling the passing game. You get what I'm saying? So I would like to see him take that next step on here. But I'm going to have to check out these other guys. Isaiah Freeman, Draylon Ellis. We already know what he is at Tennessee State. My boy Dave said Hampton not being on here is wild. I got to check out their quarterback. It looks like you got Bowie State's guy here, or who's that? Is that the Bull? The Bull. What Bull is that? Dang. I feel like I feel like somebody's about to give me the business. Is that Fayetteville State? Maybe? I don't know. But Tyrell Jackson, I'm going to have to check him out. CJ Henry, we'll see. But, yeah, I'm going to have to check these. Johnson C. Smith, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, the real question is, no. The real question is where is Demetrius Davis? That is the real question. Okay? Where is Demetrius Davis that people love to talk about so much about? Where is he in this quarterback tier? Because if we're being honest, think about this. I want y'all to think about this. Kelly, not I, Kelly put the backup quarterback of Alabama State on tier 3 and didn't even put the starting quarterback on this list. Okay? I would take Quincy Casey over Corey Fields in a heartbeat. In an absolute heartbeat. Do you hear me? I could have put, add another tier 4, I could have put Quincy Casey in over Corey Fields any day of the week. While you're trying to be funny, definitely take Quincy Casey over my boy Corey Fields. So that ain't even a question, okay? Don't even do that. Don't even try to be funny, right? So just want to make that very clear of what it is. Whereas he hasn't played enough. All right? He hasn't played enough. Where's Casey at now? Casey's still at A&M. He ain't going nowhere. He's still at A&M. He's a graduate of A&M. Thank you very much. So it is what it is. Now, but shout out to Kelly Flicks for this. I saw this. I was like, oh, this is amazing. Dope QB tiers. But I think it might be a little change up next year. I think next year, my boy, Andrew Buddy! I think Andrew going to be on that tier 1. I'm trying to tell y'all. Y'all think I'm playing. I'm telling y'all. Andrew going to be on that tier 1. Y'all going to be looking at me like I'm crazy. But, it's okay, though. We cool with that. Let's get into it. Moving on to FAMU strikes again. Listen, the Orange Blossom Classic just keeps getting better and better. I know Pajot State University will tell you that this isn't a rivalry. That's what they'll say. Our rivalry, our Pajot State rivalry starts with Alcorn and Valley. Those are our rivals. That's what they'll tell you. But realistically, there's a rivalry with FAMU. And listen, Coach Rez don't be playing. He be out here recruiting. I'm telling you, Pajot State University's theme song for this year, I got theme songs for days.
Another one bites the dust, and another one gone, and another one gone. Another one bites the dust.
Hey, that JB hit. That JB hit. What did he tell him?
Another one bites the dust, and another one gone, and another one gone. Another one bites the dust. Hey,
them white boys is bad. Another one bites the dust, and another one down, and another one down. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. Coach Rez strikes again for the almighty FAMU Raiders. You know what I'm saying? Gets the John Graves pickup. Former Southeast Louisiana DN John Graves announced his commitment to FAMU. Graves originally committed to Pajot State University. He totaled 54 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, 5 sacks over the past 2 seasons. Okay. Huge pickup, as they say. Okay. Huge pickup. But of course, it wouldn't be Pajot State University. Because they'll tell you, you listen to Pajot State University long enough, they'll tell you they had a better quarterback than Shador. We didn't need him. He needed us. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's how delusional these Bama's are. So, listen, let's just add on to the delusion. Because when they got the kid, oh, my God. Oh, what a big pickup. Oh, such a big pickup. Oh, Pajot State, here we come. Oh, Pajot State, here we come. Right? All that extraness. But then when they dip on them, you get this is what you get when Bama's be dipping, right? Oh, this tells me that our D-line room is deeper than FAM. That's what that tells you? That's what that tells you. Oh, okay. All right. I mean, listen, whatever you got to say to make yourself sleep at night. You get what I'm saying? Like, whatever Pajot State has to say to make them feel better at night. That's what, maybe they'll play him. We had young guys that is more hungry. Just because you a senior don't give you playing time. Good luck. Damn, this nigga cannot spell. Like, dog, he can't even, dog, like, listen, like, I know I got a problem with, like, I got a problem with my English language. But that guy, dog, that says maybe they'll ply him. We had young guys that is more hungry. Just because you a senior don't give you ply-in time. Good luck, man.
another one bites the dust, and another one gone, and another one gone. Another one bites the dust. Yeah.
Listen, now you might as well add like 75 to that, right? They be like, oh, our turnover is like 73, 75. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is like, it's like 70. They are like 72 people that have left the program. Like, this is ridiculous. Well, listen, we'll see how we turn. We'll see how John Graves is at FAMU. See if he plays, see if he don't play. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I appreciate. Okay, I appreciate Pajot State losing somebody. I just love it, man. Listen, I don't listen. I bathe in the tears of Pajot State. I got a whole whale for the last two. I got a whole whale in my backyard from the Celebration Bowl lost tears. I bet when football season come around, I get in them Pajot State tears, and I'm like, oh yeah, I bathe in their misery, and I come out squeaky clean, baby. You know what I'm saying? So it just
another one bites the dust, and another one gone, and another one gone. Another one bites the dust. Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Pajot State, keep crying. Pajot State, keep staying in misery. I love it. I just absolutely love it. Because listen, I'm telling you, man, I'm going to say this and I'm going to get up out here. If FAMU, if Willie don't Willie, okay? If Willie don't Willie and they start 0-1 or 0-2, them Bama's gonna be on a emotional roller coaster. I'm telling you. Oh my God, if they start off 0-2. Jeez, what? Man, I'm telling you. Woo! I'm loving it. Shout out to Coach Rez, doing big things. Huge recruiter for FAMU, killing the portal, killing the freshman portal, all that type of stuff. All the portals. All right. Now listen. hit the button. I gotta get a panic button. I would be like, yo, I'm getting a panic button. I gotta get something that turns my room. Hey, Dave, I know you like you in North Carolina A&T. Hit me up on Twitter. I need something that when I push a button, I need like an alarm, like just that goes off in the room. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like turns the lights red and stuff. So yeah, hit me up with that, Dave. Hit me up because I know you're super smart. So you'll figure it out. All right, but that would be just pure loveliness. All right, listen. Let's get into the main topic of today, right? And I want to be very clear before I jump into this. This is an open discussion, right? I don't want this is the topic I usually, I'll come on here and I'll just like hammer y'all with facts, like boom, 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 and like take that, eat that, right? I really want to get people's perspective on the landscape of what it could possibly look like for an HBCU individually or conference to make the jump, right? Or the benefits. I'm going to give you some of my opinions, but I think in this sense, the coagulation of opinions could probably bring together some resemblance of an answer, a good one or a bad one. So if you have an opinion on the topic, you've been in the barbershop a couple times, you've been texting with your friends, and you have a perspective, I would love to hear from you. I'd love for you to call in just to kind of give your perspective on how this thing could go about, or what would you see, right? Because like I said, I'm going to give you a couple opinions of mine, and then we'll go for it, right? So first thing first, right? Could it work and take the leap, right? Now, I want to be very clear. This isn't just specifically towards the Pac-12. This is just making the jump. It could be Group of 5. It could be FBS Power, you know what I'm saying, Power 4 at this point. But just making that jump as an HBCU to the Division I level of the FBS level, right? Now, we all know what's going on with the Pac-12. Literally gone in 60 seconds, right? They lose Arizona State. They use Utah. They lose Arizona. Washington and Oregon go to the Big 10. UCLA, USC go to the Big 10. Colorado goes to the Big 12, right? So, one, I want to make this very clear, and I know Dave is probably going to second this. I have a problem with people saying, oh, A&T and Hampton, they've turned their back because they didn't stay in a black conference and help build. Well, this just shows you, right? This literally shows you how much a conference has no power. If anybody has anything to say in regards of what the commissioner power is in a conference, it is absolutely zero. Because all these schools was like, yo, we're out. You can't do this. We're gone. We got everybody was out. So in everybody's own interest, everybody dipped because the Pac-12 did not benefit anybody's individual interest. And so that's why you have people dipping and leaving. So I hate the narrative that people put out like they're not black because they didn't stay in a black conference. But it just, I keep trying to understand, like even for FAMU and Bethune-Cookman, like they don't get the big pushback that they're supposed to get, that they were supposed to get. It's because why they went to another black conference. But if those schools went into the SoCon or whatever, it was for their own individual, it's for their own individual interest. Because at the end of the day, they have to do what is best for them. And that's really what you're seeing at the highest of levels, is that these schools are like, yo, we're not going to stay in the Pac-12 just because we're on the West Coast, because it says Pacific 12. We're not staying here because we're dipping because you're not doing your job and we need to go get funds elsewhere, right? So listen to what I'm saying. I want to be very clear about what I'm saying. I'm not saying that HBCU conferences need to split apart and go into, no, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, one, is that North Carolina T and Hampton did what was best for them, right? That's number one. Number two, I also trying to show you that the conference that you think like Sanja and Dr. McNugget, they have no value. They literally, I don't understand. I don't understand how people are so scared of the commissioner. Oh, Scotty can't do that because of the commissioner. Oh, we don't want the commissioner to find out. Oh, no. He doesn't have any power. The schools have all the leverage in a conference. And the Pac-12 is showing you that as close as you can ever get to it. So all the HBCUs as a school collective, presidents, ADs, should be more involved in the inner workings of their conference because of the power that you hold, right, is more than just the name of the conference. And once again, like my man Dave said, A&T left because of the leadership in the conference. And they did because they's like, yo, you're not doing what we need you to do. You're not protecting our interests, because at the end of the day, the conference is responsible for 12 interests, right? So they have to focus on the interest of all 12. But if one of those 12 don't feel like their interest is being resolved or taken care of, then they're just going to dip. But the issue that I have is that because you're in an all-black conference, you feel as though, oh, we just got to stay and deal with it, live in the mud, muck in the mud with everybody else. Because no, like that just doesn't make sense to me. So at the end of the day, all I'm saying is this, is that what is going on at the highest of levels is simply saying is that, hey, you need to worry about your own interest, as well as if you want to talk about the embodiment of black college football, cool. But at the end of the day, I just want to tell you that your conference really doesn't have the power that you think it has, right? So the cost, right? The cost. They say it pays the cost to be the boss, right? Understand that there is a new legislation coming down the pipe of FCS to FBS transfers. And it says, if adopted, all FBS schools will be required to provide 90% of total number of allowable scholarships over a 2-year rolling period across at least 16 sports, including football. Schools also will be required to offer at least 210 scholarships each year, amounting to no less than $6 million in athletic scholarships offered. Also, the transition fee to move from FCS to FBS would increase by a factor of 1,000, from 5,000 to 5 million. From 5,000 to 5 million. At the end of the day, to me, all this is trying to say is we're trying to drive up cost so people have to second guess, right? People have to second guess to make that move, right? Because what you're trying to do is I don't know if anybody's seen the movie In Time with Justin Timberlake, right? Where as you go up in different counties, they took more and more time out your clock. It's a really good movie. Justin Timberlake's in it, and it talks about, I think it's called Out of Time or In Time or whatever, right? But as you move up, if you wanted to buy coffee, it's going to cost you an hour. Like, you only have so many amount of time to live. Once the clock runs zero, right, you die. So as he moves through different states or counties, it costs more and more money to get to the nicer parts. And this is literally what the FBS is doing to you, right? Is literally trying to make sure that you're not in the room. They're trying to make it hard for you to get into the room. So they have a certain amount of numbers or whatever, but they're trying to keep you out, right? So in a sense, is like, I would say this. This is just, once again, and this is all, the call lines are open, 518-263-8124, 518-263-8124. At any point in time, you can call in and we can discuss it. But I would look at it like this. I feel like this is what I think when I think of HBCUs trying to make this jump, is when you have a cousin or a friend that lives in an apartment and they drive a Range Rover. Right? They live in the hood, but they drive a Mercedes. Right? It's like you're trying to show off something that you're not. And instead of getting that $5 million or $6 million to try to make the jump, why not just try to better yourself? Right? Just cultivate where you're at. And that's going to be the key word for this whole show. Is I'm just going to keep saying, like, I think the word for the day and the word for HBCUs and FCS is cultivate, right? You have to cultivate what you have. I believe that you can use your leverage in attendance, in branding, in eyeballs to move the NCAA to make requirements or prerequisites for you, to make considerations for you. Just like when they made the consideration to let you get a Celebration Bowl, right? I think you can find multiple ways to get yourself into leverage situations to where you can dictate to the FCS of what we need and what we got to get out of it. You get what I'm saying? So I think there's a lot of plays in this thing, and it's not just getting $5 or $6 million to go FBS and now be back in the hole or just living above water when you could, you know what I'm saying? It's like paying an $800 car note when you don't bring in enough money to make a $700 car payment, but you're doing it anyway. And you're barely getting by every month, where you could just sell it, get a Honda, and reinvest in yourself and do something better with it. That's just my point of view. I got a couple callers. JB, coming to you.
Hey, Scotty, how you doing, sir?
What's going on, JB? Talk to me.
All right, bro. So I'm checking out this conversation right here. I think that the analogy you just mentioned kind of hit it right spot on. Okay, there's some things that we need to keep in mind before we think about making these kind of thoughts. Right about now, our athletic budgets as a whole are the lowest in all of FCS. Several of our schools don't even have athletic budgets that are like even $10 million. So how can we go from athletic budgets that are the lowest in all of FCS to move up to a P5 conference? This makes zero sense. That's just the budgets piece I'm talking about. We haven't even gotten to having to fund the extra 22 scholarships, because a lot of our schools are barely paying the 63 scholarships as is. And now you're going to have to upgrade that to an extra 22 to get to the full amount of 85. 9 times out of 10, a lot of our schools might have to add some sports as well to be FBS compliant as well. I think some of the other power FCS schools, they kind of use that as reasoning for not to go up to FBS. And you see here that the chart have about the 50,000 to 5 million. Right about now, there are a lot of schools who've just moved up to FBS that, quite frankly, are having issues maintaining that FBS status because it costs more than what they probably thought it probably would be. So I think the analogy about like trying to live in an apartment and drive a Range Rover sits perfectly, because to me, this all looks like you're trying to show off to somebody. You're all trying to impress somebody, saying, hey, look at what we're doing. And it makes absolutely zero sense. We beat this topic to death. We talk about, okay, how many of us can barely function in the FCS as a whole? We can't. Some of our schools, quite frankly, need to move down to Division II because their dollars might go a lot further in Division II than it would be in FCS. So I just believe that, I mean, all this stuff sounds good with like a lot of the schools moving, basically because of like television monies and stuff like that. But I don't see that as perhaps happening basically because some of us are having issues now with the SWAC in terms of travel going from Texas to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you go to the Pac-10, that's going to make that travel go even further.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
I mean, let's keep it a buck. Let's keep
yeah.
it a whole buck. And JB, we'll have to wrap it up because I got a lot of callers. But
sure, my bad.
No, you're good. But let's keep it on the group of 5, right? Because we realistically,
sure.
We know they're not going from FCS to Pac-12 or Big 12, right? So let's keep it group of 5. But I still agree with you on that aspect of just it's you're talking about what 2-3 times your athletic budget, and you're supposed to make supposed to make the jump, and then what is it? All of a sudden, like money's just going to start flowing in. I'm just confused because I look at it like this: if you're having a hard time getting money now, what is it going to make you? How is it? Now that the price has gone up, how are you going to get more?
And I'll go one step further before I jump off phone and whatnot. I'm going to go a lot of calls and stuff. There was an article that came out a couple of days ago about A&T getting $430K to take on UNC Chapel Hill. Now, of course, the first thing people say is that HBCUs don't need to play money games, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I know this that sounds a little bit off, but like most of your FCS programs, they take these games to fund their athletic department and stuff. So say, for example, if we do go group of 5, okay, first of all, you're going to be playing other PWIs, and of course, a lot of us don't like to do that. But say, for example, that you do want to play other HBCUs in the FCS or not conference. Guess what? You're going to have to pay them now to come and play you. So you're having a hard enough time getting money in, and you're going to shell out more money to get people to come play for out-of-conference games. This is what's hustling backwards is called. But, yeah, I'll let that go, man. And I know you got other callers, so I'll get off of what now.
No problem, JB. You can call back in a little bit later. Hey, appreciate the call, though, JB. I want to go here, right? And Kevin Smith says, if the school is getting money that's owed to them, I could see the jump to FBS. Are you making the jump because of the if, or you're saying, hey, we get the money, then we make the jump? You know what I'm saying? Because if you're, that's like somebody saying, yo, I got you next week, and they never get you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you be like, I got you next week. Like, yo, like, I thought you said you had me. Like, nah, not this week. I mean, next week. And you just keep pushing it out further and further. Mr. Gratier, coming to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Scotty, you're doing a great job, man. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate the time. I'll be brief. You had a couple of good people up on screen. So I think it was Will Davis. He said, who's gonna invite an HBCU to FBS?
That's real.
This is my opinion, my thoughts. I bet if Prime was still coaching at Jackson State and he was selling out stadiums, I bet Jackson State would have eventually got an invitation to FBS, right? FBS is if you can pack a stadium, if you can get a big return on investment, if you can make some money, trust me, you'll get an invitation to the FBS. It's about making money. There was another gentleman, Sean, I forgot what Sean P just said. I wanted to comment on that one. It was a good comment. I can't remember what it was. But I want to ask you, so FBS, I think it's our mindset about the schools getting paid. Oh, sorry, let me cut back. Sean P talked about it's about getting TV deals. My personal opinion is TV deals is like 10, 20 years old. We need to be looking at some other type of deals in addition to TV deals. That's just one of it. But TV is fading out. There's social media. There's all sorts of other ways to get these endorsements. TV media is the 80s, 90s, maybe even 2000s mindset. And we need forward thinkers to think beyond these TV deals.
I disagree.
Our schools be capping out like I made it to ESPN. I'm like, nah, that's not the goal. We need to be selling out stadiums on top of stadiums and movie theaters because we done leased out the game to these movie theaters just like old boy did with the HBCU Go network. He leased out all the games to all these other stations and making mad money. So I'm gonna end it here. I want to ask you. I want to ask the audience. What do you think FBS wants in their teams, their football conferences, their football teams to bring into their infrastructure? So I'll ask that to you into the crowd. I want to see people. I'm watching the comments. Get the likes up. Please subscribe. Please spread the word about OFFSCRIPT because this is an amazing. We need more of this. I'm out, Scotty.
I appreciate it, right there. Listen, and Dave, I'm coming to you next. And I see you, Joe. You're after Dave, and then 1292, you'll be after that. So, I'll say this: I have to disagree with Mr. Gratier. Like, TV deals is the reason everybody's making the move, right? If the Big Ten was getting the $30 or $40 million, the Pac-12 would still be alive right now, right? But they're seeing that they're getting $100 million, and they only getting $30 to $40 million, and they're losing, $100 million. They're like, yo, I could be getting 100 mil. So no, I disagree. Now the real question is the money going to dry up? That is the real question. And then also you have to be very cognizant. There are bylaws in some of these conferences that you have to have a stadium on your campus. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's different things. If we go group of 5, there are different bylaws in certain conferences that aren't financially beneficial for some HBCUs. Hey, Dave, coming to you. Then Joe, then 1292. What's up, Dave?
Hey, what's going on, Scotty, man? Let me tell you guys something. If we're serious about trying to do a move up, the only route I could see is at this point, because you can't move as a conference up, is going independent. But everybody's got to agree, and there's got to be enough teams that's willing to do it, and there's got to be enough teams that can do it, and that takes money. That takes enrollment. That takes athletic fees going up. And there's some institutions that can't do that. From the standpoint of if you're a state institution, you can't just raise your athletic fees. It's not that simple. Depending on the state that those things got to get approved. And then that could impact the students. Some of the students could revolt. Like, if they notice things like that, if you're increasing it by too much. So you can compete if the travel cost is going to go up.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of factors that come in. I think we always get stuck on attendance. But a lot of the FCS programs, they pay for their athletics off football and basketball. And they don't have good TV deals. Like, that's just the reality of it. It ain't just us, But the way things are going in college sports now is going to be a big 2. And there's just going to be everybody else fighting for scraps. And that's the scary part of it all. So, and it's funny, like a few weeks ago, Dr. Cavill on HBCU Nightly talked about the fact that the chancellors and presidents weren't talking to each other.
Yeah.
Like, the ADs talk to each other, but the chancellors and the presidents don't talk to each other. That's an issue in itself.
The thing that I don't understand, Dave, let me cut in here real quick. The thing that I don't understand is when on your point with the chancellors and presidents not talking, like, the funny thing is HBCU alums have like a mini brotherhood and sisterhood in themselves. You get, like, when you're walking in the store, and you get what I'm saying? Like, even if it's your rival, you still gonna dap each other up. Hey man, when you graduate, So I don't understand why is it so hard to do business in the same way as you see each other, right? You call people call the MEAC the cousin, they're like SWAC and MEAC are like brothers and sisters or cousins or whatever. But why aren't you doing business in the same way? That doesn't make any sense to me.
It knocked me off a bit when he said that, because I'm thinking, all right, maybe they're not talking about like athletics, but okay, but they got to be talking about academics at least.
Yeah,
like you got to be working together more. But then it makes it clear about why A&T made moves that they made. They're like, well, I got to kind of think about the university, that sort. So I always had a different perspective on it when it came to A&T making the decision that they did when it came to the athletic conference, because that's just one piece of the university's puzzle.
Absolutely.
So it's just one way to look at it. But it's gonna take money and it's gonna take folks talking, and I think that's the big thing that needs to get resolved first. Like, we can argue and have a debate on who's the better team or whatever, but listen. These conferences are moving. In a week, the ACC might be gone if we mess around. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're like sitting here debating this stuff. Like, the Pac-12 is smaller than the MEAC right now. Like, think about that for a second. It's smaller than the MEAC. Everybody picks on how small the MEAC is. The Pac-12 is half the size of the MEAC right now. Like, think about that.
Yeah.
Like, if we're gonna do something, we gotta start talking. Do something now. That's all I got.
No, appreciate the call though, Dave. Anytime, man.
Yep.
You know, Joe, I'm coming to you next. I'm gonna just go to Joe, and I'm gonna come back to my points. What's up, Joe? Talk to me.
Well, I'm glad you're talking about this. Now, I was on the bandwagon of HBCUs moving up to FBS.
Mm-hmm.
But in the beginning, man, you gave me a change of heart. I want to ask you, what's the difference between FCS football and FBS football?
The bowl games.
Besides that?
Nothing else, really.
The money.
Oh, the TV money, but
the TV money.
But that's if okay. There's no HBCU that's going to be in the Big 12. They're not. No HBCU is going to go to the SEC. No HBCU is going to go to the Big 12. All the big 5 or the Big 4 now. That's where all the TV money is. The smaller Conference USA, AAC, the MAC, all those guys, they're not making crazy money off TV deals.
Okay. All right. I was just thinking maybe HBCU's got a better TV deal, and they combine MEAC and SWAC. If they can get a $100 million TV deal or something like that.
But my thing is this, though. This is my thing, right? I look at it. My mom used to always say this. If you keep going from situation to situation and your situation never changes, it is no longer the situation. You have to look at yourself. And for me, I say that you want to go into a better conference. You want to jump up in business. You want to jump up in pay, but you want to keep the same people that's doing the same bad deals. That don't make your business the way you conduct business does not get better in more high stakes situations, because as you go up, the intellect of how it moves goes up. The sharks in the water become more, right? So it's like if you're not a shark, you're about to become lunch. So it's just hard for me to think that you're going to take the same leadership that you have now into a higher conference or into a more shark infested water and think they're going to save you. And I don't see such. That's the part to me.
So before they do anything, they need to get rid of the commissioners now.
I think you have to put somebody in place that you can trust will get you the best value for your product. You know what I'm saying? Put somebody in place that you trust that has a resume of coordinating media deals. Because what I would not do is I'm not going to jump up level with a guy who does not understand media rights and media deals and has gotten us in every other lawsuit every other month. That doesn't make any sense. I'm not about to do that. You get what I'm saying? So, it just doesn't make sense to me. That's like if you were a sport. Let's say you was an athlete, right? And you got an agent that's never negotiated a deal before, and you're like, "Hey, man, I'm coming up for my second contract. I can't work with you no more. I got to get somebody else because I got to go get what I deserve." And that's how I feel in regards of the SWAC leadership and some of the MEAC leadership is that you cannot take them to where you need to go.
All right. Quick question, play devil's advocate. How will it help the HBCUs moving to FBS? How will it help them?
I don't think it will. If I'm being honest, if I'm being a whole buck, I don't think it will, outside of maybe adding an extra bowl game. If you get an extra bowl game that you're allowed to attend, I think that works. I think that works for HBCUs. You know what I'm saying? Maybe getting to another 2 or 3 bowl games, but outside of that, I can't explain to you why you will make the jump. I really couldn't.
All right. Thank you very much.
Hey, no problem, Joe. Appreciate you. All right. I got a lot of people want to call out. Let me see. I think I'm going. Let me go 1292 coming to you. Hey, calling you live.
Hey, what's up, Scotty? It's Mr. Levette calling from another phone.
What's up, Mr.
Levette?
Levette?
Just died on me trying to watch the show. But listen, man, just wanted to break up a couple of points. One, thank you for making the statement about A&T, man. As an Aggie, it's very frustrating on Twitter and all the time. People talking about, oh, we not black, this, that, and the third. What it really comes down to is what you just said. It's about the president and the ADs run the commissioner. The commissioner does not run the conference. The conference is ran by the presidents and the AD. They make the decision. They employ the commissioner. So if you're in a bad deal, or your conference is in a bad deal, or you don't like something, call your president. Your president needs to be making those conversations for you. To move forward with the topic, I don't see an FBS happening anymore. Like, I feel like with what's going on and the conference is shrinking, I think it's going to be 4 conferences and they're going to be 20 teams and then they're going to make a playoff and it's going to be a 16-team playoff and everybody else that's not a part of the Big Four. I see the G5 and the FCS probably merging to take over those smaller bowl games. What are your thoughts on that?
I would absolutely love it. I think that for HBCUs, it's not going to be very well because they won't play top level competition. So let's say let's stay with your point, right? Let's say the G5s and the FCS combined. Well, what are they going to do? They're going to take a top 25 poll. You get what I'm saying? So if you're not in the top 25, right, they're not going to get you in a bowl game. You get what I'm saying? So it's like if you're not competing to be on those levels, you're not going to get a spot. So literally, you're just going to fall back into where you've always been and just worrying about yourself and then playing into the Celebration Bowl, when I think that it will be to your benefit if you step outside yourself and say, hey, let's go schedule some of these guys. Let's go get in 2 bowl games, right? Because let's say like FAMU, that year they had to go in the playoffs. Well, now it's no playoffs, it's a bowl game. So since they're ranked, now they slide into a bowl game. And that's a lot. And now you're getting guaranteed money. You see what I'm saying? So I'd rather do that than do the FCS playoffs where you're losing money and you got to pay to go here and pay to go there. Like, I rather just, I like the idea of combining and then just making a bowl game. But now, I mean, making bowl games, but you got to understand that's a lot of schools, you know, G5 schools, FCS. I know FCS got about 100 and some schools, and G5 probably got another 90 or maybe 60 some schools. And to put all that into a bowl game system, that would be crazy. But it's possible.
Right. But if you're looking at the FBS, it looks like the big boys are trying to keep all the money for themselves.
That's real.
So how do you even get in that space in the first place?
If it's about
if you just watch them boys break up their conference for more money, pretty much like $10-15 million, they destroyed their conference. That conference is gone. So those 4 schools in that conference, they don't even have nowhere to go right now.
But think about it like this: they don't look at it as a loss. They look at it as like, we got guaranteed money coming in. So it don't matter if you're Vanderbilt on that joker, right? If it don't matter if you Rutgers, I got $100 million coming to me if I go to a bowl game. If I go 3-8 for 10 straight years, I got $100 million getting deposited on the first. You see what I'm saying? So it's like if I'm being honest, it's like a poor person living on welfare. I'm good because you don't need to be great to get the money. There's no incentive to be great. If you are great, if not, what does it matter? You're still getting $100 million.
True.
You see,
hey, good show, man. Keep going.
Hey, appreciate the call. Yeah, so it's literally like, think about that, guys. If the Big 10 is probably going to become the Big 15 or Big 16 or Big 18 or whatever it's going to become, it's only one person that's going to win the national championship. It's only a couple other people are going to be in those New Year's Eve 6 bowls. So what about the other 12 teams? You get what I'm saying? Like, there is no incentive to be great other than you want your school to be good, but there is no real incentive to be great when you're coagulated like that and you're getting money just to be a part of a certain conference. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So let me see here. I'm going to go 90-20, then Coach Green, and you're next. And then FAMU KJ, and then 0851. What's up, 90-20?
What's up, OFFSCRIPT? It's Quincy, man. How you doing, sir?
Hey, what's up, Q? Talk to me.
All right. So I just want people to think about this. So I know you're familiar with Texas. So SMU is a group of 5 school, and they have great facilities. Well, how did they pay for it? They didn't pay for it with TV contracts. They pay for it from alumni and donors. And you have talked about this on so many shows. One thing that the HBCUs have a problem with is alumni and people donating to provide for facilities. So if you jump up to a group of Power 5 or group of 5, you still have to have the money. And if you're depending on TV money, that's not how other schools did it.
Okay. Let me stop.
Austin State, Texas State, all of them did the same thing.
Okay.
They got funding other than TV money.
Hold on. Okay, so when people say this, I have to listen. I've been in this space long enough, so I can kind of give you the pushback, and I know what the pushback is because it's realistically the pushback, right? I just had a friend, shout out to Mama Harris. Her daughter graduated from Florida State, right? And she said there were 4 graduations in one day, and each graduation had about 2,500 people. And she said there's over 400,000 living alumni from Florida State. Now let's compare that to a Jackson State, a FAMU, or whatever, who might graduate 2,000 for the day, or maybe 1,000 for the day, right? If I take 3%, because let's just say everybody's giving 5%. If I take 5% of my donation from 400,000 and I take 5% from 10,000, it's never going to be the same. So now you're asking, because this is what you're asking HBCUs to give more, because the HBCUs already give more higher percentage wise and per capita. They give more money than PWIs, but they don't have the numbers like most PWIs do when you're graduating 20, 30, 40,000 people, you know what I'm saying, in a class or whatever, or in your school is 40,000 people. It's just different. You know what I'm saying? So it will require schools, allowing the schools like an A&T, a FAMU, to take in 18 to 20,000 students. That's number one. And then 2, it will require them to build out more facilities to house those more students and things like that. So I think there's a lot of variables to what you're saying outside of just giving alumni donating. You know what I'm saying? But I agree with you, but I think there's a lot of variables in that also have to be taken account of. But go ahead. That's
right. And that's why I was using SMU and Rice, because SMU and Rice, when you look at how many students, is real similar to some of the bigger HBCU schools. SMU and Rice, they not big really at all.
No, yeah, I see they're like 11,000.
Really good facilities.
Yeah, 11,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then if we look at PV, which is right down the street from Rice, is pretty close to the same size as far as attendance of students. See what I'm saying? Yeah. But facilities wise, not the same.
I see what you're saying, because Rice University has 8,500 students as well. So I get what those are great examples, right? But you also got to understand. Listen, man, I'm telling you, I've been in this HBCU space long enough, and what I've learned is that you can't ever start at the finish line. You have to go from the starting period. And what they're going to say is, well, how much money were they getting over at Texas Southern? How much money were they getting? How much more money were they getting above a PV in the building period, in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s? You get what I'm saying? Like, and then if you talk about the generational gap of wealth between whites and blacks during those same amount of times, you're also going to see. So now when you have an alumni base that has a higher wealth gap than the other alumni base, so that money that they're giving now has a higher inflation rate. Why? Because now I've been giving to you longer. I've been giving more to you. And now you've passed me. So now we're in 2023, like, yo, why you ain't got your facilities up? And it goes back to a lot of the old money that they've been getting for so long that now everybody's trying to play catch up. And now people are trying to compare us at the same rate. And it's like, nah, you can't start now. You got to go back 40, 50 years from now to see how we got to here.
And then the last thing, Scotty, I was still trying to go FBS. I would like for the HBCUs like the SWAC and MEAC to join, make a super conference, and go with someone like HBCU Go and try to corner the market on HBCU sports and other things to bring in more revenue streaming wise and TV wise, if you did that. So that's what I would like for them to try to do if they was trying to do something to bring in more money for those schools.
Let me ask you this. If you were selling a Honda, right? If you were selling a Honda and you're like, hey man, I'll sell you this Honda for $10,000. And then you say, and I'm like, nah, I don't really want the Honda for $10,000. You say, you know what? I'll throw in another Honda and I want $50,000. You'd be like, and I'm like, they're the same car. You'd be like, yeah, but you know, but I think with the same car, I think they both, now that you got 2 of them, now you should get, now I should be able to get $50,000. You'll be like, anybody be like, no, that's worth what it is. That's worth what it is. So if I combine both of the words, what do they get me? That gets me $20,000. Where are you getting this $50,000 elevation? You get what I'm saying? So the it's about the market value and the evaluation of what you're getting. Just because you combine two things does not make it better. Because there are still flaws in the first one, and there's still flaws in the second one. So it's like you're still yes, you're getting the good stuff. You're getting the Grambling, the Southern, the Paho States, the PVs, right? You're getting all that, but you are getting Delaware State. You are getting, you know what I'm saying? You are getting Valley, UAP. Like there's still flaws in the argument. So at some point they're going to balance out. So my point is like, just because you combine does not make you more valuable.
I agree. I just wish that, you know, as HBCU as a whole, that they would work smarter, not harder. I guess that's my biggest thing. And I think you kind of talked about this so many times.
I think it would be in the best interest of HBCU to build an HBCU network, right? Like, because think about it. I look at it like this. ESPN is on the decline. ESPN is floundering. And if anybody's not telling you they're not, they're lying, because you can see it right in front of their face. Disney is trying to cut ties with it. They're trying to sell off ESPN to somebody because the model that ESPN has been built off of is slowly going away. It is no longer cable. It's more streaming. It's more podcasts. It's more of these. So you're actually in a better benefit if HBCUs built an HBCU network that they could consolidate and build. Like, because think about it. If it was owned by Black media, right? If it was owned by Black media, now you're getting Black media dollars. Now you're getting Black eyes, which we already know we already over-index. So now I can get more money from major advertisers and sponsors. And now there's essentially a one-stop shop for everything that you want to get for HBCU. And I just think if it's, I would go on that because that's building value in yourself. That is creating value, right? So what you did, instead of just selling two Hondas, what you did was you redid the interior. You put in new instruments. You put 22s on it. You got a new, it's still the same Honda, but now you done, you know what I'm saying? Now you done painted it look nice. Now you like, hey, you know, now it used to be 10,000. Now I want 20,000. You're like, whoa, it was 10,000 a year ago. But yeah, you see what I've done with it. You see what I'm saying? So now you've created value in what you have. And I think that's the biggest thing, is not letting somebody tell you your value, is creating your own value. And that would be my thing.
Well, I know you got more callers, man. Scotty, just keep grinding, dude. I'm gonna keep praying for you, sir.
Hey, no problem, man. Appreciate the call. You know what I'm saying? So that would be my thing, is that okay. Let me go to Coach Green real quick, and I'm gonna come back to my point. What's up, Coach Green?
What's up, man?
What's up?
Hey, since you're speaking on hypothetical of HBCUs going FBS, this is why I say, because I'm looking at how, if you really look at it, the HBCUs are kind of, as far as FCS, they are sitting pretty because they got their own bowl game right now. And with the Battle of the Bands being added, NCAA might be like, hey, we might want to bring them into FBS. And then like you just talked about with the FCS and G5 probably consolidating and the bowl games going to them, I think they will play people because they will want to play in them other bowl games to make that extra money. What you think about that?
It's not about it's not about what you want to happen, right? Because what's going to happen is this. The Celebration Bowl is going to stay, right? We can all agree to that. You're going to have your number one, your number two. Now you have to, now you're hoping for a bowl game to put you in as an automatic bid, right? So unless you get a HBCU Go Bowl or a HBCU League Pass Bowl or an NFL Network Bowl, which pairs an HBCU with a PWI or something like that, you're hoping to get a spot in the bowl game, because a lot of those other bowl games, if you look, they're already strategically placed of a certain school. So now you're going to need a bowl game that says, hey, SWAC or MEAC, we want to partner with you to give you an automatic bid. And if that does not happen, then you do not get into a bowl game, because outside of that, I mean, if you got like, let's take away FAMU, let's say Southern, right? Southern last year, they lose. If they was in the FBS, they would probably have been slotted into a bowl game. If that bowl game had partnered with them and say, hey, listen, we'll take you into this bowl game. So it's a very finicky thing, but I look at it like this. I would use my leverage, or I would try to create leverage, or I would partner what I would listen. This is my personal opinion. What I think needs to happen is FCS ADs, commissioners, they need to come together and petition the NCAA to give them their own bowls. Whoever doesn't make the playoff, or if they keep the playoff or whatever, they need to petition the NCAA to make more bowl games strictly for FCS competition. I think that will probably be the best benefit for FCS and whatever else. Because let me say this before I let you go. I think if you make an FCS bowl game system, right, what's going to happen is local media and local businesses, right, can now be a part of the bowl game system. So now you might have like, I think there's a, what's that place called? It's like I think it's called like Shields or some big ass sports. It's like the biggest sports selling store in America. Like it's bigger than Dick's, it's bigger than Athletics, it's bigger than Sports Authority. It's like super, super big. But I can't think of it. I think it's called Shields. But let's say they wanted to do a bowl game. Well, now I think they're from North Dakota. So they could make a North Dakota bowl game to where they only bring in the Mountain Valley and the Big Sky. They built, you get what I'm saying? So just like local business, like local millionaires and businesses can do that for their own region. But go ahead. It's on you, Coach Green.
So all I was about to say is you're right about that. They might need it because they always at the Celebration Bowl, so they might need to talk because they show up to the game.
You get what I'm saying? So, I just think I think that there should be some type of bowl system. Maybe like there's a 10 game playoff system for the national championship for FCS, and everybody else is in a bowl game. You know what I'm saying? Something like that, because it's just give us the same model as the FBS. Like just literally pass the same model. Whoever don't make it to the playoff, they can do their own bowl game systems. You know what I'm saying? So everybody has a way to to get the best benefit for them, because what works for FBS might not work for FCS, but it doesn't mean they can't find something that will generate income for them on behalf of them.
Yeah, I agree. But that's all I got, man. I just want to throw that out there.
All right, no problem, Coach Gray. Appreciate the call. FAMU KJ, coming to you. What's up, man?
All right. What's up, Scotty?
What's up?
All right, man. Check this out. I want to just add a little bit more commentary. I heard you speaking to the brother about HBCU alumni giving just as much or even more to their universities, which could be 3 to 5% compared to the PWIs. Now, that has been found to be true. The issue becomes more so for HBCUs is this right here. Where do we give it? So one of the things that happens is that, yes, you give to the university, but do you give directly to athletics? So that becomes the issue. And especially in the state of Florida, you can't cross that money, because if it's given specifically for something, then you can't then push it over to athletics. Now, put a pin in that. I'm going to come back to that particular statement and give my proof as to why that happened.
Okay.
Next, the thing is this right here. I truly believe, and I'm going to question you on this right here. We've been talking about this for years. Do HBCUs truly love football and sports? Now, the argument has always been we are event oriented. We're not football oriented. We are event oriented. So if that's the case, when you make the jump to Division I, you better have everything locked in to be able to say, hey, we know that our fans are to a point that if we're playing Eastern Michigan or they're going to turn out to come see that, right? So are we truly, because, and this is the other thing, we're saying football, but there are going to be 16 other sports that's going to need now to be Division I level, and is that going to be supported?
Facts.
So all these things now come into to play, in which when we're talking about we want to go, FBS, can we do that? Now, let me go back to what we mentioned earlier. I've been saying this for years. One of the reasons why when we talk about the issue about giving back and what's happening with HBCUs over the last, say, starting back in the late 70s on through the 80s, is that we've had a drastic change in the demographic. So if you're going from what used to be 55-45, maybe 60-40, now you're looking at 80-20, 75-25, 65-30, a female to male. Now that's going to explain to you now what I mentioned earlier when people give back to the school, because if you're that demographic, then even the graduation will even probably be even more 90-10 or 80-20 female to male. Ooh. So who gives back now to the university, and then will that female now give back to athletics? No, she's going to probably give back to journalism. She's going to give back to pharmacy. She's going to give, because yes, she knows about the foot, but this is where she wants her money to go. So now that explains a lot of times we're wondering, okay, we're giving back, but are people giving back specifically to sports?
Athletics, yeah.
So this becomes a dilemma, and then it also explains again, if you have that kind of demographics, are they going to come out, if it's not an event, are they going to come out to see pure football? And that has always been my question to those when we talk about making this jump. You better make sure you know your demographics, and if your demographics is going to be able to support that and be willing to support it. Let me hear your response.
No, I listen, I think those are all valid cases and points, especially the female aspect of it, because, I think there are some females that love athletics, and then there's some females that don't. That's just life and what it is. My thing is this. And this is the part where moving up to FBS doesn't change who you are. If you're an event-oriented school or fan base, that's not going to change. That's why you want to move together as a conference, because you feel like nobody's going to understand the event person in you, because everybody else cares about athletics except y'all. You get what I'm saying? So it's like you like, that's why what A&T and Hampton did was so astounding, because they said, F that, we're going to do what's best for us athletically and move forward this way. Regardless as if those people were event-oriented or not, we're going to do what's in the best interest of us. And I don't think you have a lot of other HBCUs that will make that jump to say, hey, we are so athletic-driven that we don't need our friend to come with us. We don't need our cousin to be with us. We can do it by ourselves. And
okay, now I don't mean to cut you off. Let me just push back a little bit on that. If I'm an HBCU president, the canary in the mine has been our fellow brethren, Tennessee State University, for the last 30 years. So they didn't necessarily go FBS, but they decided that they were going to go a FCS, kind of like predominantly white conference. And look what has been the problem. It has completely fallen off. No home attendance. No one followed. We don't even talk Tennessee State. This is a major blue blood. We don't even talk Tennessee State football. So if the canary in the mine was Tennessee State, and we saw what happened, then are we willing to then say, with more money, more having to put more money into the part of being FBS? We've seen what has happened to a blue blood that tried to do that on a much smaller scale. So do you then say, hey, it's worth to do it?
I think the core of it lets you know. I think Tennessee State is what do they call those things in like the lab in biology, like a tester or like the control variable, right? They are a control variable that lets you know that Black people are not athlete. They don't. HBCU alums and fans do not care about athletics as much as they say they are. They only care about athletics when it fits underneath the event title, right? If it doesn't look like how they want it to look, they don't support it. So when you think about if I'm a president or AD, I cannot just think about football in the sense of, okay, we're moving up to be a part of this football program to get more money. But that doesn't mean that more eyes are going to be a part of my basketball program or my soccer program or my baseball program. You get what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it was only like out of all the schools in college in Division I, 18 schools made a profit off of football. That's FBS and FCS. 18 schools. So football at its core is not always it's not the biggest revenue generating sport. It's really the TV money behind it. So I would ask anybody, if you don't move with your cousins, would you move? Because I don't believe it. Because to me, I look at it like this. I would give you this. If Conference USA came to Grambling, Paho State, and was like, yo, we'll take y'all. Right? We'll take y'all. Would they move without their cousins? Would Paho State move without Alcorn? Would Grambling move without Southern? You know you're going to FBS like you want to, but if it's not with your cousins, would you still move? And I think that's a no. So that tells me right there. I think it's a no. So that tells me right there, you really don't want to be in FBS unless you got everybody else around you, unless you got your friends with you, because you don't want to conform to playing just football. You want to still have the event part of it, which is nothing wrong with that. Just keep it where you're at and don't make everybody acquiesce to you in your event.
It's a hell of a dilemma, and it's something, like I said, I just want to throw that out there, man, just to kind of really chew on that and ruminate on it, to really look at it from an athletic director's perspective and be able to say, if we get out here now, are we going to get out here on this vine and die? Are we going to feel a little bit more better, closer to the root here and doing what we're doing, and maybe try to come up with other little means to make it a little bit better? But that's the dilemma, man. Thanks for taking my call, bro.
Hey, no problem, man. Appreciate you. Dave says, HBCU, nobody cared about the conference move as long as we played that school in Durham. Nobody was going to see A&T play Morgan. They attended the games against Elon and more. So that's it. Hey, I got the 3 callers. Hey, listen, 0851-1164-2091. Stay on the call lines with me. Stay with me. Let me finish my points, and then I'm going to get right back to y'all. So y'all might have something to say about this, right? So my thing is the fallout. What is the fallout of the Pac-12? And I just want to throw you guys this, right? The time difference, right? Now, mind you, because that's really, if anybody doesn't know, that's one of the biggest issues when you're dealing with the Pac-12 and those West Coast schools is the time difference. Like, now you got Ohio State going to Cali, you know what I'm saying? And the game's supposed to start, the game going to be 7 8 time. It's going to be 10 o'clock your time on Eastern. Who's staying up for that? Who is staying up for that? Nobody, right? Student travel. You got to think about the volleyball team going across country. You got to think about the soccer team going across country. You got to think about the golf team going across country, right? The other sports, right? And then listen, this is the big one. This is the big one. Can ESPN keep spending? A lot of people are not talking about the aspect of ESPN is now becoming a walking debt to Disney. ESPN is a subsidiary of Disney. Disney is trying to cut ties with ESPN and sell it off, right? Sell it off. So to me, and KP, it still falls within the ESPN, right? Because if most G5s are partnered with ESPN. So what I'm saying to you is this. If you go group of 5, right? Will ESPN, because I did a show not too long ago, maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago, about the divorce, right? The divorce of ESPN with HBCU. But you got to think about it in this totality, right? Is because when you're a business, what you're going to do is you're either going to start trimming the fat at the bottom, or you're going to trim the fat at the top. It's the same thing with ESPN firing their top high people to kind of get, the people making $20 million a year and $5 million a year. They start cutting those people. You're either going to chop the top off, or you're going to trim the fat at the bottom, right? The thing about this is this. You got to think about. They're using the HBCUs to build ESPN Plus. They're using FCS programs to build ESPN Plus. So it's kind of hard to separate from that, because you're like, okay, we got a group of fans that are diligent in paying this $5 a month and profiting off of ESPN Plus, right? But at some point in time, they're going to look at what the big boys are getting, and they're going to just continue to keep asking for more money, right? They're going to continue to keep asking for more money, and we won't be able to sustain that model of trying to give them crumbs and making off of their millions. We're giving you crumbs, and we're going to make millions off of you. Because if I'm paying you $700,000 a year, and I'm charging your fan base for every fan to watch your game $5, I think I'm making money off of you. Right? So it's a lot of those aspects. So ESPN could stay there. Listen, I look at it like this. ESPN is going to have a value amount to you. Why? Because it's business. I can sit up here and yell from the rooftops that I think you're worth $15 to $20 million a year. But ESPN is going to say, hey, I got the analytics and data to only give you this, because if I give you more than this, what you're paying me, right, is not going to come back and recoup what I'm getting from you. So ESPN can only go so high, because what they recruit from you might not pay you, if you get what I'm saying. I hope I'm making sense. Let me try to Barney it for you. Right? ESPN Plus has gone up to $9.99, right? $9.99 a month. Right? So if I'm paying you $10 a month, $120, right? A year. And all that coagulates to me trying to give you $10 million a year, and it doesn't add up, well, then I can't give you that, because you're going to put me in the red, because you're asking more than what I'm getting, if you get what I'm saying. Hopefully you understand that, right? So let me go here. My brother Josh put this on Twitter. I thought it was a good read. He said, we're watching consolidation in real time. HBCU ADs, chancellors, and presidents, pick up the phone and let's discuss it. 10 to 12 HBCUs go to FBS. Together, we could name our price on media rights deal. This is my pushback with this statement, right? How and why? How would you be able to name your price when all you're doing is going up a level? That's all you're doing. One, you don't know who those 10 or 12 might be. And those 10 or 12 might not have the fan base. Because listen, if you bring PV, you're bringing 10 fans. We know they got the money. But if you're bringing in PV, that's 10 fans. If you're bringing in Texas Southern, that's another 10 fans, okay? Texas Southern don't be, let's call, if it wasn't for me yelling Andrew Body, it wouldn't be a lot of Texas Southern fans out here in these streets, okay? So that's one. If you bring Grambling, they might have the odds to go with it, but we know they ain't got no home games. We know they are they barely go outside of wherever they got to play. You get them? Like, it matters who you get. It matters. Now, if you get the Southerns, the FAMs, the Pothole States, okay. But Pothole State can't afford that. Pothole State cannot afford that. So the 10 and 12 people that you're bringing, you have to be it has to be very smart on how you move it, because you can't just grab any 10 or 12 and think it's going to work, right? All right, let me go to my guy, Mr. Whitlock. I haven't heard from him in a while. Then we're going to go 2091-1164 and then 0851. What's up, Mr. Whitlock?
How you doing, Scotty? Marvin Whitlock, Wichita, Kansas. Scotty, my question is the dilemma that I have is that everyone is talking about HBCUs, MEAC, everybody moving up and things of that nature. The question I have is, why don't we make a plan? HBCU Plus is there now.
Yep.
You just had a special on them just last week. And where you brought individuals in and talked about what they're doing for the HBCUs. Grambling is using them. Everybody want to stay with this Dr. McNugget. Why don't we move to a different platform, start building a following? You already have the following, but now you're starting to build over the next 4 to 5 years. You will start to build a platform through HBCU Plus. You will start bringing more revenue into the SWAC itself. And now we growing. You get to a point now that you have the value of your organization is growing. Jackson State has a huge following. FAMU has a following. A lot of the teams in the SWAC have a following. But if they're not utilizing the platform that is actually there for them, that they could sign on to, but the SWAC is just being very reluctant, and Grambling is the only one that's using that. Why don't we use that and grow our value within? And then now other organizations, other conferences at that point in time will say, hey, they're growing their value. They're doing this, they're doing that. But I watched the special this morning where they talked about the University of Washington and Oregon and what they're doing in all the other different sports. But not just that, but how many players, the organization that's been in the Olympics and been in all these other different sports. We got to build a name first within before we can have someone that wants to add us to their platform.
I agree with you, and this is what it starts with, right? It starts with you first of all, you got to have the forward thinking process of ADs and your presidents and chancellors to sit down in the same room and allow HBCU League Pass to pitch that, right? Because, you have HBCU Go, you have HBCU League Pass. They could literally work together in a sense to build your network, right? To build your value, because HBCU Go keeps the secondary rights, HBCU League Pass gets the primary rights, and now you have 2 Black-owned media companies building your own network and value that still, and you still have some type of marketplace value. Why? Because now as you're growing, or you might be getting income, now, you might have a CBS, you might have an Apple come bid, you might have a come Fox. That adds a marketplace, but let's just stick to the small stuff, right? So it's presidents and chancellors sitting down and having to pitch. You gotta know what's out there. You gotta listen. You can only make a decision when you know all the pieces on the board, right? It's the same thing with chess. I gotta know 2 and 3 moves before what you're going to do. So for me, if I'm a president or a chancellor, I gotta sit down in this market space and say, hey, I gotta learn what I don't know. How do we build? How do we grow our media? How do we get this? How do we get more TV money? How do we do this? And instead of just relying on one guy who does not understand what he's doing, you get a bunch of people in the room and you have the discussion. You talk to Grambling's president and say, hey, President Gallo, what is going on? How much value is HBCU League Pass bringing you? How much money are you getting? How are they doing this? How are they? You got to have those conversations, because if you don't think those white people in the ACC, them ADs and presidents are not talking to one another, you're out your cotton picking mind. That's how they're making the moves that they're making, because they got, hey, man, listen, what you about to do? Man, listen, Apple talking about $100 million, or, I'm trying to go to the SEC. I'm trying to move. They're talking. And the fact that we're not talking lets us know that you're not business driven. I'm sorry. It's too much ego, not enough business. You know what I'm saying? But if you have another follow-up question, you can go right ahead.
No, I'm fine. I'm definitely good with that. And I say we should be looking at the example. Pac-12 did the same thing. They brought in 2 commissioners that have no understanding of college football. And those 2 commissioners that they brought in detrimented the Pac-12. And that's why the Pac-12 is in the position that it is right now, because the commissioners that they brought in. And we should be doing something different. If you see that some people are doing something that's not working, why keep trying to do the same thing that they're doing? By bringing in, having individuals in positions that don't understand business, marketing, and growth.
Yeah, I agree.
That's all I have, Scotty.
Hey, no problem, Mr. Whitlock. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate you. Let me go 1164. You've been waiting for. I see that DMV. Hey, calling you live.
Oh, shit. Hey, what's up, Scotty? It's Dante from Maryland.
DMV, you're good with me. Let's go. Talk to me.
Hey, man. Hey, I just want to, I guess, piggyback on some of the points.
Yeah.
When it comes with the Pac-12 stuff, they'll be fine because that's not really a ESPN thing. They're more of like Fox Sports and CBS. So I don't really think they have to deal too much with the ESPN mess. My other point I want to get on is in my opinion, I just don't understand why HBCUs want to move up so bad. I don't know. Like, I guess it's from the past few seasons with Coach Prime and everything. But you've heard from like other callers and other people, they're not even necessarily competent on getting good media rights deals at the FCS level. So what makes you think trying to get to a higher level with the same people, it isn't going to make much of a difference? You know what I mean?
Thank you. Thank you. If you're having the problems now in the smaller arena, you're going to move to a bigger arena. They're going to do bigger and better things. It don't make no sense. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, not going to work. It was also the thing with the bowls. My opinion, there's too many bowls, but you can keep them, which you do. Because I remember Coach Prime, he also said, there's no rule that says FCS schools can't play in bowl games, right?
Yeah.
So instead of, having all these really bad 6-6 group of 5 and Power 5 teams, you get some of the best like you do in basketball. You take the top tier FCS schools from each conference and put them guys in the bowl game instead. I think that'd be something that can work.
That could. I mean, but it all depends on if one. Okay, let me give you this. What would make the FBS skip over the top 25 schools in the top 25 rankings and then just pick a random HBCU? I just want people to think about that. So you got a whole top 25, right, that are part of a playoff system or whatever. That they're probably going to be a part of the playoff system or whatever. Let's say a big school gets knocked out, and why wouldn't I go to them first, or why wouldn't I go to a secondary level of the Missouri Valley Conference, or maybe a third player out of the CAA or the second? Like, to me, there's a lot of other schools. Now, I say this: if it's regional based, right? Let's say like a Southern bowl game. Yeah, I would try to get FAMU. It makes sense. It's regional. It's local. I ain't got to pay that much money. They're going to bring fans. You get what I'm saying? But you still want good football. You get what I'm saying? So it has to all make sense, right? I'm not going to send FAMU to a Midwestern bowl. That don't make sense because their fan base is not going to try to get, some of them will, but some of them won't. I'll try to keep a more regional base. So it's a lot of factors that play into that. But it can't hurt. You know what I'm saying? It can't hurt. So, that's what it is. But
okay.
But hey, man, appreciate the call, though.
And one last.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, do you think?
Oh, my fault. I'm sorry. One last thing. So with this tweet you got up, there's this So there's a lesson I've learned in life, the way they say, is sometimes you have to be selfish. You can't take everybody with you.
Come on now.
Especially in our community.
Come on now.
You know, sometimes you gotta do what's best and do what you can for your stuff. And then if you can't, you come back and try to help them. But you can't take 12 HBCUs. That just wouldn't be possible. 1 or 2, yeah, maybe.
Hey, appreciate the call though, bro. I like that point. Can't take everybody with you. But this will be my question, right? To the bottom of this. It says, no disrespect. We don't have any more room for the media rights on this level. How do we know? He's a MEAC guy. The MEAC's media contract, nobody knows the numbers. I know it ain't better than the SWAC. So I would throw it back to Josh and say, Josh, how do you know you've gotten the best deal possible in your space? How do you know that? How do you know that? How do you know that there is no more money to be made at the FCS level and that you have to make the jump to FBS to get more money? And then I would ask, who are you going to get to negotiate that deal? Sanja? Big Mama? You gonna get Big Mama to negotiate that deal? All right. 2091 coming to you.
Yo, what up, Scotty? How are you today?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. That's Mr. Opinion from Reaction Sports. One of the things that I think really stands out, I live in the Northeast, but I'm originally from Florida. These schools need to invest. The facilities aren't even on the FCS level. So it really comes down to, like, you know, for me, just taking care of the basics, right? And so what that means to me is that, you know, they're not even challenging especially these land grant schools aren't challenging the government for reparations that are owed. For too long and for too many years, they have allowed these schools not to pay them their worth. And one of these schools aren't going in. They're rather go beg instead of demand what they owe, right? So that really stands out to me. And then the last point that really, you know, draws up for me is that look at South Carolina State and their tennis team. It's all white, right? They move up. What'll happen? There'll just be more white people at these schools that were designed for Black people. So what are we really talking about at that point? And we still see more and more of that being developed. So those are like kind of my point. What are your thoughts?
No, I mean, you can't listen, man. It's it's hard to find Black people to play some of them sports at a high level, right? Because we're more focused.
We see it in football, though.
But I'm saying though, you brought up tennis.
Go ahead.
You're like, I get. Listen,
that's really good.
Tennis ain't cheap. All right, everybody ain't got no Serena Williams dad out there, you know, teaching you, him reading books and teaching you, right? Golf is not cheap to learn. The clubs, the field, you know, paying for the greens, that stuff ain't cheap, right? So there's a lot of sports that, one, as a culture, don't resonate with us very well. So yeah, that's why you have an all-white team at that level, because they got the money to get the learning. You know what I'm saying? Like if we're thinking about it, most kids in our neighborhood, you know, they play basketball, they play football. You know what I'm saying? Like Mr. Blissett said, hockey. Like you don't see hockey black people playing hockey. You know what I'm saying? It just
more and more. It's growing. It's growing. But I guess that goes to my point too. Why even have these sports, right? Why not put it in a different sport that we actually have? But I'm just saying that only speaks to the example, because you even see it with the bands. You see it with the expanding of, like, it's kind of like the HBCUs kind of, from my perspective at least, missing out on the mission of the school, right? It isn't to be, is to educate the Black people, and is not necessarily doing that. Because even if, like for the tennis example, you know, it's better to spend that same money that you would spend investing in local neighborhoods to teach those kids to train up the people who will be your tennis player, rather than getting the kid from Croatia to come and get a chance to go to college and play. But I guess I think what I would say is they're begging for the money.
Hold on. I got it. Hold on. So you're telling me that you're going to tell a low resource institution to put money into a program in their city, to fund a program, to hopefully one day get a player to play tennis for them?
No, I don't think they ever played tennis for them. I don't care what level they played the tennis game at. If they are able to come to school to play, whether we win or lose, what does that improve having a kid from Croatia win a national championship? How is that getting better?
Okay, so what you're saying is you don't care if the player is good or not. They need to be black because they need to get the education.
That's what I'm saying. That's the mission of the schools, right? If I'm not mistaken. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
I get you. I just listen. That's.
I want to hear your take on this point. I think. What about the idea of the funding and the demand for reparations? What are owed that they've been cheated out of the schools? I think the North Carolina schools, I think, have been the most egregious in terms of the cost difference between the school and how historically that is going on. So where do you guys stand on that?
I'm still stuck on you talking about you don't care if they win or lose. You just want to fund it with full black. Like I'm still stuck on that. Like,
yeah.
Listen, to a certain extent, I really rock with you. To a certain extent, I want to win. You know what I'm saying? I want to be competitive. But I get what you're saying. Yeah. You're giving resources and an opportunity to a Croatian that's not black. I get it. I get it. And
if they're winning that, if South Carolina State having a Croatian hold up a national championship banner, where's the win? I'm asking you, where's the win? There's no racism. That's the mission of the school. It's not racism.
Oh man, oh Jesus. I'm really ever speechless, but because to a certain extent, I do get what you're saying. And I do agree with what you're saying to a certain extent, but it's like people want to be competitive, man. And listen, you can't just be walking around the neighborhood and be like, yo, I got a tennis scholarship for somebody who wants to play but don't know how to play. You can't do that.
I don't believe in that either. You heard me say build up the program. Come on now. I don't necessarily.
You gonna build? So what you gonna teach somebody that never played tennis before? Like, hey, so you gonna have like a tryout to play tennis? Like, I'm just trying to understand it because.
Remember the movie? Oh my God! Remember the one movie? They used to do this. And remember the swim movie with the.
Oh, is that
with the one guy?
You talking about the black dudes that came out for swimming and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, listen.
But I'm just saying there's different examples of this has happened historically where we provided a space for training, and then through providing that space for training, we were able to get the people that we need. But if there's no opportunity for training because it's being taken up by these Croatians who are winning the national championships, then what are we really talking about?
That's real. Listen, bro. I can't. I won't put down what you're saying because I know a lot of people like, I see your point because if HBCUs are for the betterment of black people, that's their mission. And and given those opportunities.
It used to be the mission. Let me say that. It used to be the mission. I don't know if it still is.
I look at it like this because this is when I hear what you're saying, this is my thing, right? Because I had a conversation with somebody and they were like, hey, I think you should talk about other PWIs in the FCS space. And I said, I wanted to make that transition there, but then I thought about it. I said, they don't talk about HBCUs. So why should I go out of my way and involve them when they don't go out their way to involve us in any of their conversations, right? Like, let's be real. So a certain part of that to me is like, it just rubbed me the wrong way that you want me to invite them into my space, but they don't try to invite conversation of us in their space. So I get you. When I tell you, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. I do get you.
I mean, but I also say too, HBCUs are known for producing the most revolutionary people. I get that. But it's just, it's just the idea that's out there. I appreciate the time. I appreciate Scott. I appreciate the work that you're doing. You're doing a really great job. And I catch you on the flip. Good channel though. Really good channel.
Hey, no problem, man. Appreciate the call. Thanks, man. I like that you stood on your. I like how you stood on your stuff, man. I appreciate that. Stand on your opinion. I like that. Oh, listen. Okay, listen. I get it. I know, man. Listen, it. Oh, Dave, I get it. I definitely understand it. I get it. 0851 coming to you. That's funny.
Yeah, that's too funny, but he's speaking facts.
Yeah.
Just a brief history. Alcorn did that in 1997, 98, 99. Half the tennis team was from Russia, and they beat everybody. And what did we get out of that? But back to your earlier point about move up, I don't think we can move up anywhere until we actually we need a commissioner that's going to impose standards and improve overall HBCU. Because right now, I don't think there's any HBCU team right now that has any seating behind the home run wall in the baseball stadium. So a fan can't even buy a ticket and catch a home run ball. So what is the value? And we need to improve the standards. And in the early 80s, Southern used bond capital financing to finance the building of the mini dome. Alcorn used it in the late 80s, early 90s to build the campus in Natchez and Vicksburg. So we need to use and stop trying to go after the small donors of this university alumni. You need to go into bond capital financing. And bond capital financing actually is the best bet for HBCUs to get the money that's needed to improve this campus. Because they can take you go to a small cap fund, you can take $25 million, and in 10 months, they turn that $20 million into $200 million, or that $25 million into $250 million, and you go do your project, and then they hand you the bond back, and you can either cash that bond in or put it back in trade and go on with the next project.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one way that can happen. And you had some really good guys on here once that were talking about finance, and you can ask them about that, because the way they explain it, they can put it where everybody can understand it. But there are a couple of companies out there, small cap, medium cap, one of them, Red River Financial, they do that bond financing. But the presidents of the university need to get out of their own way, answer the phone, and get some people that know what they're doing, and put a funding manager in charge of this that actually knows what they're doing. Because they have the resources. I mean, it would be nothing for Mississippi Valley to go in where I think in Itabena.
Yeah.
The city has a bond. They have a municipal bond, so that's a partnership right there. That's the bond capital would take the city's debt and turn it into money and build the community around the college. So there's a community college in Mississippi near Pothole States called Hines Community. Now, in the 90s, the student population was 2,500. That might be high. But they built the community around the school. Now the population is 17,000. Look at Prairie View. In the 90s, their population was what, 4,000, 6,000? They had a president that was smart enough to see what was going on, and they opened up some land on the campus to private investors to build apartments. Now the population is 14,000. So we actually need some forward-thinking people in place who put a plan together and know how to achieve it. Remember that movie Blue Chips with Shaquille O'Neal?
Nah,
when they recruited him to come play LSU?
Nah, I never seen it.
Okay, well, look at that movie. It came out in the 90s, Blue Chips. When he walked in that basketball arena, they turn all the lights out and put the spotlight on him and let him see how they're going to announce him when he comes in the game. We're not even doing that. We want the players to come to our school, but we don't make the players feel special. Some of these schools won't even put the player name on the jersey. We don't even want to invest in the facilities to so the fans can actually have a better experience. We got to get out of our own way, and we need a SWAC commissioner that's going to go after these standards. There is no excuse. How you going to go? Wait, hold on. How the hell we going to go to FBS when Bethune-Cookman got a straightaway? Not even have curve on the track. What the hell we doing? We want better baseball players, but a fan can't even buy a ticket and sit behind the home run wall and catch a ball.
Oh man!
So what the hell we doing? We got soccer field. Wait a minute. Do they even have soccer fields at every HBCU? They got girls team but no boys team. So what are we doing? You look up on you look on the news and Notre Dame going to Ireland to play, but HBCU can't go to Africa and play. We can't go to Brazil with the second largest black population in the world and play. We can't recruit black baseball players from Dominican Republic or any of the South Caribbeans. But they have them, but they are not what we need. So we need to. It's chess, not checkers. We need to invest the money, improve our campus, rebuild the communities around our school, have housing diversity. You can't have a doctorate program in Pothole State and a master's program, and you got all the same students fighting on undergrad to have a house or apartment on campus because ain't no jobs around there. So we have to reinvest in our community, and we have to hold people accountable. When people like Shaquille O'Neal get on stage and talk about I own, Sweatfield, Forever 21, I own all these brands, but yet you don't put no commercial in the Celebration Bowl, what are we doing? So another thing, when we were talking about move up, what we need to do is increase the payout for the Celebration Bowl to $5 to $10 million and expand it, include the Southland and the Big South Conference, and have a 4-way playoff and the last 2 teams play in the Celebration Bowl. That's how you add value to your brand. That's how you increase your value to get a bigger TV contract or streaming contract. Absolutely. Because you now have an association and you become the law of averages. But you 100%. Anyway, I think that we need to focus on improving ourselves, and we need to get some business-minded people. We need to get people. People over there bragging at Pothole State about they raised so much money for the school. But I remember 2 years prior to that, we raised $18,000 for Alcorn for the girls basketball team, and we got a cease and desist letter because they want that money to go in general fund. Wow. So what are we bragging about? Wow. What are we talking about here? Johnny come lately want to jump out and say something, but he ain't doing nothing new. We're doing it every other place. It's just that sometimes we have bad leaders in place who don't take advantage of the opportunity that's right there in their face. They too busy riding around in their Mercedes-Benz talking about I'm president, end up with a girl pregnant on campus. Riding around talking about I'm coaching the team, end up with 3 girls pregnant on campus, Doug Williams. But, we out here, that's what we doing. So we need to get about the business of improving standards. Go talk to the people who understand finance. Go talk to the people who understand TV deals. Go talk to the people who understand atmospherics and invest the money in our stadiums, our arenas. Go talk to the people who understand how to build a community around the school and work with the city leaders, the city council, the mayors. Work with the commissioners of the county. Work with the government. They dumped all that money out of HUD and put it in the USDA, and most of our HBCUs are in rural America, and somehow, some way, we can't seem to write a grant to pull the money down to go do what we need to do when they're giving it away. So it's time to wake up and pull the wool off our eyes and stop talking about we need to donate more money when the money out here right for the picking.
Oh, man, thank you. Appreciate the call.
All right, y'all have a good day.
You have a good day, sir. You have a good day. That boy said he said he ain't got no curve. He said, what you gonna do? He ain't got no curve. He just got a strip. Oh, that was funny. Oh, I needed that laugh. He was losing me in the beginning. Hey, Mr. DeGratier, I will be there August 12th at Central Park in Atlanta. Listen, anything FAMU, my son will try to attend. So we're going to try to make sure we get out there for them to have that experience. So, yes, you can catch me at Be Out Day ATL August 12th. Just hit me with a time, and I'll be there. I asked the question to you all in the chat before I take this caller. How does moving FBS increase the value of HBCUs? That is my question to you all. How does moving to FBS increase the value, right? Increase the value. I need to. That'd be dope, G. Nina G, that'd be fire. Absolutely fire. I would love to do that. Absolutely fire. Mr. Bugs, coming to you.
Scotty, what's going on, brother? Doing all right, man?
I'm doing all right. Hey, this guy is turning birthday tomorrow. I don't know how old you turned, Mr. Bugs, but he is having a
44.
birthday.
I'll be 44.
Oh, double foes. All right, so please get him a happy birthday in the chat. Happy birthday, Mr.
Thank
Bugs,
you,
in the
guys.
chat.
Appreciate it.
Go ahead.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man. I won't hold you long at all, man. Enjoying the show, man. Love the value. To answer your question, moving HBCUs moving up to FBSs, I believe it brings no value at all. Because to be honest with you, if you look at why the Pac-12, you see all these schools from Texas and then people, and then you have the schools in the Pac-12 moving over. These are money plays. So something is going on with these conferences that is not increasing revenues. So therefore, you're seeing a lot of mergers and acquisitions going on, M&As, people moving over, so to speak. So, but the one thing that I can see about HBCUs, and you and I actually, when you actually came onto my podcast, we talked about this. We need to create our own lane. I think that if we become more astute, and I respect the caller before they came on to me, there's revenue, hey, there's cash out here, guys. We just have to create a business model that attracts the cash, because currency always follows value. So if you have these big donors cutting these checks out to these Power 5 schools, what are they presenting? Value. So as a business owner, whether it be enterprise, mid-tier, small business, you're always trying to create value so that money is always flowing your way. I believe that HBCU sports is a good product. I believe that the experience of pageantry, the bands, which ain't gonna lie to you, the Power 5 bands are boring as hell. But when it comes to HBCUs, man, that's another show for us.
Yeah.
So if we produce a better product on the football field, basketball field, soccer field, we're gonna say football field, coupled with the pageantry, man, that's a value that the Power 5s cannot present. They cannot. So that when it comes to Celebration Bowl, you have those smaller conferences, the Southland Conference, the Sun Belt conferences. Not a problem with it all. You can actually add maybe another bowl game to where, okay, let's say JSU or FAMU versus North Carolina A&T. They're playing the Celebration Bowl. And that winner then plays in another bowl against a higher tiered from a conference standpoint, school, for more revenue, because you have presented value. We actually have the time frame and now the business model now to where if we get our act together and begin to look at really managing what God has given us, guys, we can produce a great business model to where you actually have the business titles that are black begin to give more money to the HBCUs, producing a better product on the football field, because to be honest with you, football is king when it comes to HBCUs. When it comes to revenue-wise, then what happens is now you can come to the table and say, hey, Southland, hey, Pac-12, hey, Big 12, we want more money. Matter of fact, you know what? We're not coming to Texas. You need to come to Jackson. You need to come to FAMU. Because of the fact that now we got dollars too. I'm a big proponent when it comes to business is I want to be in control. I don't want to be subservient to somebody else. If someone gives me crumbs, damn your crumbs. I'm going to create my own meal, and then you're going to eat my crumbs because I present so much value. So I would say to answer the question again, man, no value to move up at all. Let's fine tune our business model to where it's a lot better and more effective, man. So that we write our own checks for our own people. If that makes sense.
No, I agree. I absolutely agree. As always, Mr. Bugs, I appreciate the call, appreciate the insight, and happy birthday, my guy.
Thanks so much, man. God bless you, brother.
You too. Listen, I want to stay there, right? I want to stay where Mr. Bugs was at. I want to stay there because I'm going to keep saying this until you guys get it, right? If ESPN felt that it was value to add an extra event on Friday before the Celebration Bowl, that Saturday, you can play another football game before. This is what I'm saying, right? And I'm going to keep saying this. To add more value to what you're already doing, turn the Celebration Bowl into a playoff event. Turn it to a playoff event. So what happens is, right? Give you a good example of what could have happened last year. So Powell State wins the SWAC championship. NCCU is the guy for MEAC. So it would have been Howard versus Powell State versus Southern, or let's say you don't want to use the loser of the SWAC championship. Maybe you want to lose. Maybe you want to use FAMU or the second best record in HBCU, right? So let's say it's North Carolina A&T. Let's say you take North Carolina A&T and you put them in. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And now you got to use SWAC and MEAC. So SWAC and MEAC bowl. So let's say you take Southern, right? So you take Southern. So it goes Powell State and Southern. It is NCCU and Howard. Howard plays Powell State. Southern plays NCCU. The winner goes to the Celebration Bowl. Howard goes to Jackson, right? Because Powell State is the SWAC champion, and Southern goes to NCCU because NCCU is the lead guy of the MEAC. You play that out, right? You play that out, and you do the damn thing. And you do the damn thing. And you have the game December 18th. So let's say you do a week before that game, right? Or maybe 2 weeks before, whatever. Because the celebration, I think the SWAC championship is like early December. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's like early December. So that gives, listen, that takes away people saying the MEAC don't play another game until the Celebration Bowl. They plug that game in, right? So both teams had an extra game, right? And then you go into the Celebration Bowl. I'm going to keep saying that. I'm going to keep SWAC championship is the first week of December, right? So you have that first week, right? So let's say that's on December 7th, right? December 6th. Let's say it's December 6th. Let's look at the calendar right now. I ain't even gonna play around with y'all. Let's look at the calendar. All right, so I'm going to December. Let's say it's this week. All right, so first week of December. So let's say December 9th, right? December 9th. The Celebration Bowl is December. Oh, that's too close. So you have to do December 2nd, the SWAC championship, right? December 9th will be the playoff game. And then December 16th will be the Celebration Bowl. That's how you'll do that. So let me bring that up. Let me make sure ain't no. Yeah, so if you guys go look at your calendar right now, right? December 2nd will be the SWAC championship. December 9th will be the playoff games. They both played on the same day, right? They're both being played on the same day. And then December 16th will be the Celebration Bowl. So, what do you mean no Bayou Classic? What are you talking about? The Bayou Classic is in November. Yeah, the Bayou Classic is in November. What happens when the two MEAC win the playoff? Then they play the Celebration Bowl. You don't make it. See, listen. The Celebration Bowl is no longer a SWAC versus the MEAC. That gets wiped away. It's just a bowl game. That's all it is. It's a bowl game. So it's the same thing with the college football playoffs. There's no stopping LSU. There's no stopping Georgia and LSU from playing in the national championship. They're just the two best teams, and it just happens to fall that way, right? Because you work through the playoff system. So the Celebration Bowl is no longer the SWAC and MEAC Celebration Bowl. It's just the Celebration Bowl. It's just a bowl game. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it comes about. So it actually becomes more interesting because it could be two SWAC teams, it could be two MEAC teams, or it could be SWAC and MEAC. So that's how I would do it. So bump all that Battle of the Bands on Friday. And you can still have the Battle of the Bands on Friday if that's what you want, because, it's the Battle of the Bands or whatever. But I think if you make that thing a playoff, woo-wee, I think that would be A1. So I'm going to give you this nugget before I get up out of here. Damn, I've been on here for 2 hours. I don't even feel like I've been on here for 2 hours. I'm going to give you this nugget before I get up out of here. Right? I was doing some research like I do, and I saw this, and I think, right, there you go, a true HBCU championship. There you go. I like the way you put that, Reg. I like the way you do business, my boy, right? So anyway, I saw this, and I want you guys to think about this, of how much more money HBCUs could make if they did this model, right? Listen to this. It says, for the first time, it will be covering. This is a media company talking about this. It will be covering University of North Dakota's Missouri Valley Football Conference road games. This is an option that wasn't available during UND's last TV contract because it was a member of the Big Sky Conference, which gives exclusivity to home team broadcasts. The Missouri Valley Football Conference does allow road teams to bring their broadcast partners unless it's the Missouri Valley Football Conference Game of the Week, which goes exclusively to ESPN. So let me break this down. Let me break this down for you all. Listen to me very carefully. What they're saying is this. If this game is not the game of the week by ESPN or whatever, or whomever, let's say it's UAPB versus Valley, and everybody has their own broadcast partner, right? So let's say Valley has its own broadcast partner, UAPB has its own broadcast partner. Let's say Valley's the road team. They can bring their broadcast partner to broadcast the game for their fans. Do you know how beneficial that is? That means literally both teams are getting paid for the stream. I feel like a preacher. I'm talking in here, but y'all not getting it. I'm talking in here, but y'all not getting it. So the schools are doubling up the paydays because the home team has its broadcast contract. The other team has its broadcast partner. They come together. They both broadcast the game to each his own fan base, and they're both making money off the game. Talking in here, but ain't nobody listening. That means if Delaware State had its own broadcast partner, right? So let me give you a good example, right? Gramblin's broadcast partner is HBCU League Pass, right? Let's say Grambling is playing FAMU, right? And let's say FAMU's broadcasting partner is a local TV station in Tallahassee. Well, they go to Grambling. HBCU League Pass is going to broadcast it on their stream, and then FAMU is going to broadcast it on their stream to their fans. So it's a win-win for everybody. I'm talking in here, ain't nobody listening. I'm talking in here and ain't nobody listening. All I'm saying is it's possible to do bigger and better things and to think outside the box. To think outside the box. And at the end of the day, they tell you right here in the thing, the only exclusivity is the game of the week for the Missouri Valley Football Conference. That's the only exclusivity. And they already have a list of every game of the week for that week. So let's say yours is week 3. Well, nobody can bring their broadcast partners because why? It's exclusively the ESPN for that one game. But every other game outside of that, you're good to go. You're good to go. Listen, I'm just saying. Hey, guys, listen, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. That has been my time talking some HBCU and broadcast. And listen, before I go, man, I just got to give y'all, it's nothing better. Once again, I keep trying to tell you, it's nothing better than bathing myself in the tears of Ohio State. And as always, they done.
Another one bites the dust, and another one gone, and another one gone. Another one bites the dust. Yeah.
I'm telling you, every time they lose, cue it up, DJ.
Another one bites the dust, and another one gone, and another one gone. Another one bites the dust. Yeah.
Woo! Ohio State gonna get all this work this year. Woo! Ain't no Dion. Ohio State getting all this work. Listen, until next time, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to holler. God bless.
Another one bites the dust, and another one gone, and another one gone. Another one bites the dust.